welcome to the October 23rd regular meeting of Town Council for the Town of Vegreville. I call the meeting to order at 7:01, and I'll be looking for a motion for the adoption of the agenda. Councilor Curtis makes the motion. Is there any additions or deletions? Seeing none, all those in favor, carry. Next up, I'll look for a motion for the adoption of the minutes of our last council meeting. Councilor Bullock makes the motion. Any errors or omissions within the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor, carry. No delegation, no supplemental, no correspondence, but we do have a cash statement.
Yes.
And you're doing the CAO, Ling?
Yes, I'm going to do the cash statement this go around.
Ask as many questions as you can.
In depth. Please be nice. Okay, so the town of Vegreville opened the month of September with 13.73 million and closed with 11.93 million, seeing a net cash decrease of 1.8 million. Major sources of cash included $73,960 for fire deployment revenue, $55,208 insurance proceeds on a mower. We had a mower that took a swim this summer. $64,963 interest earning on our cash balances. $293,737 were collected in the tax and the tip payments, and $50,366 in utility pre-authorized payments. Major uses of the cash included $256,000 on the SCBA replacements, $505,243 was the third quarter school requisitions. $259,516 went for the 2023 construction projects, and $223,437 went in debenture payments.
Good. I'll take a motion, first of all, for that. Councilor Bullock makes it. Any questions? So obviously, it's next month was because the big check.
Yes.
Finally got a bill for prosperity.
There'll be a substantial withdrawal in the following month.
Okay, so we still ended the month at basically 12 million, so.
That's correct.
Now, do you know where we're at with our collection on the taxes? Has anybody brought you up to date on that?
No, but I can get that information for council and bring it to the next ledge meeting for sure.
Okay, we'd like to,
I think the last time we checked, we were probably sitting over 90%. The province had paid, so there was just a few outstanding.
Okay. Other questions? Okay, we'll take a motion for, or take all those in favor of the motion to accept the financial statement as read. Okay, next up, business. We got Jamison Brown, the CEED manager. Some marketing, some lots at Foxview. Take it away, Jamison.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. And as you referenced, this pertains to the marketing for the town-owned lots within Foxview Estates subdivision. And the proposal is to approve the listing practices and commission rates for the Foxview Estates subdivision. The background on this is that while prices for the individual lots within the aforementioned subdivision have been previously established by council, as per the town's sale of town-owned land policy, council must also set marketing parameters for the sale of town-owned land. These parameters include, but are not limited to, listing the properties with local agencies as well as commission rates. So the financial implications, should this come to fruition, should council elect to list these lots with the two Vegreville-based real estate agencies, there would be an initial service fee of $100 plus GST per realtor per lot for a total of $1,400 plus GST. Should a realtor be approached, or beg your pardon, should a realtor approach the town with an offer that council is agreeable to, the realtor would also be compensated a commission rate set by council. Based on present list prices, the approximate cost per sale based on a 7% commission is, and you'll note the commission rates in the document attached. And also worth noting that after one additional sale at Foxview Estates, there will be a 10% increase on the remaining lot list prices. Should this forge ahead, the communication strategy would be the Community Engagement and Economic Development Department would enter into agreements with the two locally based real estate agencies, I should say, to begin the process of listing the properties at the previously set prices. As part of these agreements, the realtors will be required to place their own for sale signage toward the front of the property. The properties must also be listed on MLS as well as be featured on realtor websites. The properties will remain featured on Vegreville.com, but will be updated to reflect the interested parties to contact the local realtors. And the recommendation is that council list the above referenced properties with the two Vegreville-based real estate agencies with a standard commission rate of 7%. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Take a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Curtis makes the motion. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Bullock.
I think this is wise and important that we do this and have it marketed through the proper channels, being the realtors, and they should be compensated fairly for the job that they do. That is it.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, well, and all those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much, Jameson, and you'll get moving on this tomorrow and get the listing out there. I do have a question maybe to Director Lefebvre regarding that. It's been asked a couple times lately, Dale, Director Lefebvre. What would it take to have a winter road going south from Foxview?
It can be done. Maybe we could take the spill pile that's by the bike track and drop it in. It's gonna be a mess, obviously, in the spring when it melts, but we'd have to put something like that down. It's very low, and then level it off, and then we could have a winter road.
Let it freeze up and then put the barricades back up in the spring? I don't know. Maybe we should have a conversation about that. I just think that might help with trying to market those lots over a little bit. I mean, we know that whatever we put down's got to get dug back up when that road gets finished. And as we don't have to put a base down that would be good enough for the summer, would probably never work. But we could probably make something work fairly good for the winter if it was to freeze up in there. We'll have a conversation about it though at the next ledge meeting or something maybe. Okay. Where are we at here? Oh, council reports. That's a pretty short meeting. Councillor Barry, you're up first.
Thank you, Your Worship. On October the 16th, attended the pre-budget planning meetings. On the 17th, two new business plaque presentations, followed by our legislative meeting. And then on the 18th, three new business plaque presentations. And I'd just like to say that it's really good to see that we have some young ladies opening businesses in town. It's very interesting to see the types of businesses that are opening up right now. And then tonight's two meetings, and that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bullock.
Thank you, Your Worship. On October 12th, the Recorder Talk of the Town, along with the Chamber for Small Business Week. October 16th, our pre-budget planning meeting. On October 17th, attended a business presentation at Yellow Rooster. October 17th as well, our legislative committee meeting. On October 18th, attended small business presentations for Fieldside Fitness, D-Bay Acupuncture, and Aesthetics by Rihanna. October 19th, attended the Vegreville and District Chamber of Commerce AGM, where special guest Mayor McPhee made his voice heard across that room. So it was really good. So, and then today's organizational meeting and council meeting. That is it.
Thank you. So I don't know if everybody knows this, but the Yellow Rooster guy, he has some shuttle buses as well. One is a 26-passenger bus. It was kind of interesting. Plus his school buses. So we got the word out to a lot of people that were looking for some bus services, and I know they contacted him, so it's good. Councilor Wawa, what have you been up to?
So I've got a few things. I've, just like other councillors, attended the budget meeting on the 16th. I was at the meeting with Minister Nixon on the 17th, and I'll leave that to your worship and Councillor Lemko for some additional updates there. On the 17th, I also attended the legislative meeting. Then on the 18th, I attended the library board meeting in Councillor Rudick's absence, and I'm now the new member to the library board, so I'm looking forward to that. It was a good time for me to go to that meeting. They are in their budget planning stage now and will be coming shortly for presentation to council to talk about their budget needs for the year. I would say that it was very soon in, and it was easy to identify a couple challenges that I see for them, and certainly it is a utilized space, but I think a challenge that always happens is when you're budgeting and some of your contributing members, the primary of course is the town of Vegreville, but we do our budget and pass the budget before the end of the year, where sometimes their surrounding partners like the county, they don't necessarily pass the budget at the same time frame. So I think that's sometimes a struggle for communities when they're trying to do budget planning and figure out what they would be facing the following year when you're not knowing that set budget at the same time. So I think that's certainly a challenge that they will see, but I am excited to work with the group. They were very friendly and very thankful and recognize the challenges that the town is going to be facing with all the additional increases that will hit us that were outside of our control. So I was excited to be there. On the 19th, I had a VTAB meeting, and now know this will be was my last VTAB meeting. I would just like to say about this group that it's a small board, but their enthusiasm is very strong, and they do a lot of small fundraising within the community, being bingos they like to put on. They do it with a really small group. They do the hot dog sales at the co-op, so just kudos to them, and they just keep rolling with that. They are going to be moving forward. You'll probably hear in the community that they are basically at a place where they are actually going to be able to fund the replacement of their current van. And that has come through, we have to wait for official announcements, so I can't give any names to it, but two large scale donations from people who had passed away and had left some funding, which actually took them from the base beginning of the fundraising right into a level where they could look. So they're looking at what those best options are, knowing that their current driver, they're trying to make sure that whether it's the current driver now or a replacement one, would be able to deal with the physicality of the ramps and not changing the overall size of the unit so that it doesn't change where it needs to be housed. So I've enjoyed that board. On the 19th, I attended the chamber meeting as well. Nice area for somebody that's looking to have a meeting, and I think it was a nice job done by Crave to provide a very good meal, and it was good to go out and see everyone, and I'm looking forward to that, and now actually on that board. So that is going to be good going forward. Today we had the FCSS meeting, and I just want to bring a few highlights, and I'm going to actually leave some for Councillor Curtis, unlike last time when I apologized and I think I said all of them. But one of the things that was identified today that I actually thought was interesting is the talk within volunteering about the need to maybe shift focus to what they're calling like micro-volunteering. It's really hard to get volunteers, and when you look at huge projects or taking on large initiatives, it is scaring people away at a time when we know it's even more difficult to recruit volunteers. So they're looking at the concept more and more with micro-volunteering, where it's just giving one single little project, and sometimes it might be easier to get 10 people to agree to do one thing, one person just to ask them to do some posters, one person just to ask them to do a schedule, and it ends up being something that a whole group had done before, but it's not so overwhelming. It's something that people can fit into their schedules a little bit more, especially when we know that there's a lot of situation now where the norm is to see two people working within a household. So I think that that may be something really good going forward. There was some presentations today by the various departments, and one of the initiatives that they've been working on that I think is really good going forward was to push to strengthen the nonprofit sector. That is going to bring us back to stronger volunteering, being able to hand off some of the services that FCSS got roped into. They have, when I say roped into, we saw a shift from being preventative services to more and more things were being downloaded on them, sometimes by the provincial bodies, but also when the volunteers went down, I think COVID was a hard hit on them because it changed the scope of what they were doing. They were actually asked to be more crisis intervention level, which really was not the intention. We can't take that role on. It is supposed to be at a provincial level, and now that has ended, it was a little hard to get everybody back into the idea of pulling back to where they're supposed to be, which is early stage prevention, not the hands-on. So they're definitely working with the groups, and there's a number of different initiatives within the nonprofit, but the one I was going to just feature, they're calling it VAST, so it's Vegreville Adult and Seniors Task Force. And that one to me was very interesting because they looked at a number of really proactive initiatives, but looking at what some of the seniors were saying were some barriers in the community, which included sometimes access to some of the enhanced medical, particularly like specialist appointments, some of the financial barriers they may face, what physical barriers will be out there, which some of that is what we addressed, talking about the fact that there can be, we can do our part to try and make sure that there is like a handicapped stall, but if it's not accessible due to snow or if a curb is uneven, that the initiatives are right and the intention is right, but making sure that they're fully viable. And of course, transportation and housing is always really important. One of the things that they talked about doing within there is creating a little bit of a tips line. And that's something that I said that maybe going forward, they could piggyback in with us on our Talk of the Town, or maybe they could go with a counselor in the future to share tips with seniors on things that they wouldn't necessarily know to do or do not meaning to. So a lot of times it's things to do with their income tax returns or unintended consequences, like a senior that may be struggling a little bit and makes a decision to potentially access a small amount of money that might be in a GIC or an RSP, not realizing that that really small access of money could actually, while they're doing it just to help themselves get by, might actually have unintended consequences in supplemental benefits. So it could even potentially remove their ability to access Alberta Senior Benefit for an entire year, or the Guaranteed Income Supplement Program. So they're looking at just some quick little hit things to remind people that wouldn't have known that it was even a thing. So I think that would be, could be really good. As well,
I thought you were leaving a couple.
I am leaving him more. There's just one other one I really wanted to speak to, and it was they have been able to kind of reestablish a group that was there before, and it was a grief and loss group. So they will be back again through the St. Joseph's Hospital. This initiative was here before, and the reason I want to speak to this one was this is actually the first club I joined when I moved here. And the idea of it is a place to get together people who have suffered grief and loss of all types, but the hope is that what happened for me will happen for other people, which was I met a couple friends within there, and we actually made very close friendships and then didn't require to keep going to this group. For a while it went away, and I think it's a really good thing to have. It's also a thing that would be wonderful to have shift away from FCSS, which it has, because it's basically being taken on. So they look at different sessions within it, but basically one of the upcoming sessions will be November 13th, and they'll be sharing these posters all through, but I think that's a really great initiative. I also had the organizational meeting and the council meeting, and because I still have the floor, I'm gonna one more thing I'm gonna say, Your Worship. I just wanted to mention one board that I didn't have a meeting with during this time, but it is a board I'm coming off of, and I've been on it since the beginning, was the Community Futures. I went on that in my very first term, and sometimes we don't hear a whole lot from us on it because there's certain information we can't report on that board because it has to do with individual companies accessing loans and supports. But I just want to say what a great board that has been to be on, and to remember that even though you're not hearing about it a lot, they provide support for what would be considered some of our most vulnerable businesses, because they're businesses that can't access their funds unless they've gone the traditional route through the banks and have been unable to secure funds. So they not only provide some startup, but they also provide some, chance to expand their business or expand their technology. So just shouting out to that board, and that's all I've got, I promise.
So Community Features, Elk Island Region.
Yes.
Good. Well, Councillor Curtis, can you top that?
I'm just slowly Xing off things again, but I think I have a few. She did save me a few, so I appreciate that. I'll start here, October 16th, pre-budget meeting, October 17th, plaque presentations, Brick House Fitness, and Yellow Rooster, and actually Brick House has been trying to do some work with seniors as well. They do seniors yoga, and they're looking at doing some workout type things with them, and I did send a picture of the card over to get some transportation. Seniors over to the gym, so we're all working together to try and benefit everybody here. I was there for the Minister Nixon visit on October 17th. October 18th, we did some more plaque presentations. I think they were said about Aesthetics by Rihanna, D-Bay Acupuncture, and Fieldside Fitness. And then tonight, FCSS meeting, and I do have a couple tidbits to share. We're talking about Meals on Wheels again, and how volunteers are needed for that. We did some comparisons to 350 meals in the month of, I think they had September in 2022, and 414 this year. So again, the needs are going up. I did talk about this last time about settlement services, and how they were not ready. They didn't get their government funding, so they were going to have a spot in FCSS here. But Julie did reach out, and they were able to get some virtual services. So the people can either do a Zoom call or phone in or however, and that has happened. That is available, but we still haven't got anybody coming here yet for 1 day a week, but they are pushing to have somebody come up from Camrose. Family Violence Prevention Month is coming up in November, and what FCSS has done is added a phone line message, which will, when you call in after hours, so we're not 24/7 down there, it will redirect you and will give you some options as to what you can get in contact with, as well as they set up a text line. So if it texts one of the ladies' phones there, it will give an automatic text message back and say, hey, here's some options. I know if you're having trouble, we aren't here right now, but here's some numbers you can call. And there's also some logging data available with that. They can kind of track how many calls they had. They believe they had 5 over the weekend that they weren't able to answer because they were obviously off. So this is another way to get some information to people if they're in, a difficult situation or in crisis. As well, we had mentioned here last time too about the Crisis Association had some money given to them, around $20,000, which was for a coordinator. And the Crisis Association has kind of taken a back burner right now. They're struggling a little bit. And FCSS was able to actually take the money in and actually got more money. They got $30,000 now. And what they're going to do is they're able to use it if they find somebody in a crisis state. So they could get them a room for the night, get them transportation, get them some help. But what they would really like to do is hold on to that until the Crisis Association is more back on its feet, and then give them back that grant money. So we're not using it to do a coordinator or do anything in FCSS that would add people, or the whole point is that we didn't want to lose that money to go just into the whole pool. So that's being kept in town, which is really good to hear. And the last thing is the Ministerial Association. So the church group used to meet quite often and find ways to help people in the community, from food, clothing, etc. And that kind of, again, through COVID, broke down a little bit. There wasn't as much interest. And they're trying to get back right now, and they're not looking so much to get nonprofit status and do things like that. They just want to get together, pool some of their money, have gift cards, and when somebody reaches out and says, hey, there's somebody in need, they can be there on the spot and get them what they need. So that's really good to hear that they're bringing that back. And that's what I had for FCSS. So our organizational meeting tonight and our council meeting. And that is all.
Thank you very much. Councillor Lemko.
Thank you, Your Worship. October 16th, I attended the pre-budget planning meeting along with my colleagues here. 17th, the ledge meeting. Also on the 17th, I was involved with the plaque presentations at Brick Fitness and Yellow Rooster. 17th, I was in a meeting with FCSS, Minister Nixon, the Minister of Seniors, Community and Social Services. as well as our local MLA, Jackie Armstrong-Homanyuk. It was nice to sit in there and listen to Minister Nixon talk about his portfolio underneath that ministry and his plans moving forward, listening to us about the challenges our FCSS faces and our homelessness and those things in our community. It's also an opportunity to reach out to him and to ask about senior housing and what the potential is for us as a community homestead lodge and the potential for it being expanded. So it was a nice meeting, and we had the opportunity to listen to him and also to share some business cards and stuff, so which is great. The 18th, the plaque presentations at Aesthetics by Rihanna, D-Bay Acupuncture, and Fieldside Fitness. It's interesting to see, it's also nice to see us doing plaque presentations because we get to visit these businesses, go inside their businesses, take some photos, have some discussions with these young entrepreneurs. And I say young, these are people who've left, got educated, and came back to set up businesses in our community. So they're flocking back home. And it's nice to see that they're risking and putting it out there to start business up in our community, which is great. The 19th, I attended the Chamber of Commerce General Meeting and enjoyed the discussions and His Worship's talk and addressing the Chamber folks. The 23rd organizational meeting, council meeting tonight. I want to add one item that I didn't attend a meeting, but it's still happening, and I thank council for putting me on the Vegreville Area Stands with Ukraine committee once again. As the news doesn't focus anymore on the war in Russia and Ukraine, as the war in the Middle East, as it should be, is front and center. But the war in Ukraine still rages on. People are displaced and are fleeing the country and moving to Canada. So, and more of them are reaching out to our committee to relocate to this area. The emails and the asks are huge. The committee is working tirelessly behind the scenes, although we may not see it. 2 families have arrived just last week. That we find them housing and furniture and that stuff. The asks on the emails and the messenger of people asking for, can we help them find a residency and potential for work. A doctor reached out from Montreal, a Ukrainian doctor, and he wants to come here and he's looking for work. It's interesting how a doctor could be looking for work in our country, but he doesn't qualify. But still wants to move to Vegreville because of what we have. The federal government made an announcement, which is great, starts today for those people who are here, displaced Ukrainians. The permanent residency for Ukrainian nationals with family members in Canada, which is huge for those people who are here and the uncertainty of whether they could stay here. Now there's the opportunity to apply. And I haven't read all the documents and all that, and I can talk about it later, but our committee is excited as the Ukrainians are. So we continue to forge ahead. We continue to provide that, and as our community grows with more and more people that are displaced and making Vegreville their home, which is good to see. Thanks to the committee members who do all the work. I just report on it. And that's my report, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. So, on October the 12th, I attended the grand opening of the reopening of the brick store. It was nice. There was quite a few people from the administration of the brick itself, and some original franchisees that were the original people that took brick franchises back in the day, who are now retired and living in Palm Springs, but did very well in their businesses. But they come up for this, and the owner, he was quite excited about his future here in Vegreville, and talked about other franchise locations that he has, and he's very, very positive, the feedback he gets from Vegreville. We had our budget meeting on the 16th. On the 17th, I was at the Yellow Rooster plaque presentations we talked about earlier. And also on the 17th, the visit by Minister Nixon at FCSS. And I know Jason a bit, and I looked at what his mandate letter from the Premier was, and it's a super ministry, Minister of Seniors, and that's seniors housing, seniors transportation, seniors everything, which, by the way, Councillor Bullock, he did say that there was going to be more money for seniors transportation. So maybe as your new role in FCSS, you could take a look at how we might be able to access some of that money that he's putting in for transportation in rural communities. Also, I'll be Minister of Community, which is housing and social services. I brought up some of the, what I always thought was a bit of a flaw in the last Minister of Social Services and the way that he addressed a lot of downloading into small communities by other larger urban areas, their problems, and shipping them off into small communities. And hopefully he got what we were talking about there, you know, sending people to our community to take up all the resources that we have here that are not, have no affiliation or no attachment to our community. And I know Jason, you know, he said he was going to get back to us on some of that stuff, and I know he will. He's a half decent guy, but he has a big ministry. I was very happy with what he had to say, the Councillor Lemko's comments about the oldest lodge in the province being the Homestead Lodge, and the fact that you know, they just closed the funding for some rental properties. It was a partnership with municipalities, the province, and with developers. But he's going to reopen it. But the fact that he said he wants to split it from seniors housing and affordable housing, because when the two are competing for the same dollars, senior housing and affordable housing, it just creates too much red tape. So he said he'd like to split those two apart so that the senior housing would be on its own and affordable housing out by itself. So hopefully he has that set up, and he's thinking by the end of February that the grant window will open again on that affordable housing partnership. So we'll keep an eye on that. All in all, it was a good meeting, and I like the pictures that we had done. I don't think I've ever looked that small standing beside a man in my life, but yeah. I've talked to him many times before. I just didn't realize till I seen that picture. Anyway, it was nice, and it was nice that you know, he complimented our FCSS staff and our office here and stuff, and we all know that our FCSS is a leader in this area when helping out other FCSSs and other communities here too. So we had our ledge meeting. I helped out with one plaque presentation. And then the chamber AGM, which was good, and it was nice to see that Elk Island Public School Board was there, and they wanted to make it clear about where their stance is on the new schools and what's coming down, and the scope project that was done there and stuff, and when A.L. Horton would be closing, or what their plans are. I mean, they're directed by the province and the education minister too, and they would love to see something that moving forward with someday, if we could partner on a rec center and a school in the same building, in the same complex. So it was nice to see Kathy, the new board chair. Nice to see her come out. And of course, Randy Foot's our member from here. Then on Friday, the 20th, I had the first Crossroads Alliance, which is the new economic development board that the county, Innisfree, Manville, and the town of Vegreville are all coming together to create a little bit of an economic development board. And they picked the name Crossroad Alliance. So we're just sort of setting the rules now, and we went through some of the stuff that we had talked about, and I think it's going to be good, especially you know, for the county and these smaller communities. And Jameson was with me on that, and I feel really good about the future of that. And it's nice for them to recognize, you know, that having a list of the businesses in your county would be nice. and to help promote, and we know that Manville and Innisfree, they don't have full-time economic development, so this will be something that'll help them, assist them, and like anything that happens within the county is gonna be good for us as well, so. And then tonight's organizational meeting and the regular town council meeting. So, at this time, is there any other business of council? Go ahead, Councilor Rolla.
I'll be quick. I just wanted to say something about our organizational meeting tonight. So just two things. Obviously, we discussed that there were some new boards that we're on, some new boards that have been out there. And I know people have talked to me in the past about how many boards we're all involved in. So I just thought it may be important to know that as some of these new boards we've agreed to either create new boards or go on new boards, that our structure that has changed over the years does not actually mean that we are, as council, receive remuneration with these additional boards. We have one set, so us adding new boards in is primarily focused around being able to, be involved in and know what's going on in the community, as well as letting them know that they're receiving support from us. So I just think that was important. And the other thing is, I was asked a question once about why maybe we would change a board or whatnot, and I think it's just important to note there too that we do that so that we all try to get different experience with the different groups and bring different perspectives or ideas to the group. So I just thought I'd share that.
Well said, and I know that the previous remuneration committee, when it was brought to them from members of the public at large about why we get paid for meetings, in-town meetings and other town meetings on council, there should be just a flat rate that covers all that. And I know that they were worried about a little bit of a drop-off, maybe a councilor's not attending some meetings when they were no longer being paid, but I'm here to say that I have not seen that at all. And as a matter of fact, we've taken on more roles, and everybody in council, we try to split it up as fairly as we can, so. Okay, so that's being said, there's nothing else, then I will adjourn this meeting at 7:38.